Hey, welcome to the series of everything you need to know about Python in simplest possible way. In the series of pattern printing, so far we have seen so many patterns. In this video, we will see how we can actually print this particular pattern. So if you could carefully observe this pattern, here we are having these ones starting with here, going till here, and again going till this particular end. So we are having ones which are coming here, and we are also having twos which are coming here, and here we are having this end, and again it was starting with here and it was going till here. Like this, all these numbers having some kind of a pattern in this pattern here. So let's go ahead and see how we can actually print this particular pattern. So in order to print this particular pattern, what we generally do is that we will divide this pattern into two patterns and we will combine those patterns after printing. So for that, I will divide this pattern till here, and first we will print this particular above pattern. Later we will print this particular below pattern, and we will combine both of them so that we can actually get this whole pattern. So for that, what I will be doing is that, as I have mentioned, we will print this particular pattern first. So for that, what I will be doing is that I will take a variable rows and I will assign these rows with 5. So because in this pattern, if you could carefully observe, we have 5 rows: row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, and row 5. So for that, I will assign the value as 5. Later, if you could carefully observe this pattern, apart from these numbers, we are also having spaces before these numbers, right? So before actually printing these particular spaces, we cannot actually print these particular numbers. So that we need to print these spaces first. So in order to keep track of these spaces, I will use a variable spaces, and I will assign these spaces with 0 here. So later what I will be doing is that I will use a loop in order to generate these particular rows here. So for that, I am using a for loop for I in range. So we will generate a range of values. So the question is, what are the range of values that we are generating in here? So if you observe this pattern carefully, in each row we are having some numbers, and those numbers having specific pattern. In the first row we have 5 numbers. In the second row we have 4 numbers. In the third row we have 3 numbers. Like that, I will generate the range of numbers from 5 till 1, which is nothing but rows till 0, and I will increase or decrease this particular numbers with -1. So for that reason, I am starting with rows and I will go till the value of 1. For that reason, I have mentioned 0 because the range function will stop at 1. So in this, what I will be doing is that, for now, let us just print the value of I here. So based on that, we will print accordingly later. So if you could observe this value of I here and compare this with this particular pattern, you can able to find something that we can actually use this variable I in order to print this particular whole pattern, which is in the last. If you could observe here, we are having 5 4 3 2 1, and in the value of I also we are having 5 4 3 2 1. So the only thing we need to do is that we need to generate these values of numbers which are starting with 5 and going till the value of I, which is here. So by doing so, we can actually print these values. So let us go ahead and see how we can print them. So as we have this repeated statement on each rows, I will be using a for loop. That is what we generally do, right? When we have repeated statement. So for that, I will use a for j in range. I'm using a range of values which are starting with 1 and going till the value of I here. So for that reason, I will mention 1 and I will go till the value of I plus 1. So inside of this for loop, what I will be doing is that instead of printing this particular I will print the value of j here. So now if I execute this, I can able to get the values which are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 1. So that is what exactly the values that we are having in this above pattern, right? So now the only thing we need to do is that we need to arrange these numbers and we will get the pattern. So for that, what I will be doing now is that by default, this print having this end parameter with new line character. Because of that reason, we are getting these numbers in the new line. So now what I will be doing is that I will replace those new line with space so that we can able to get all of these numbers in the single line itself. So later what I will be doing is that after completion of this inner for loop, I will put a print statement here. So by putting a print statement here after completion of this inner for loop, we can actually generate new lines on each iteration of this inner for loop. So now if I execute this, I can able to get these values in the new lines. So the only thing we need to do is that we need to print these spaces before these numbers so that we can able to get this exact pattern here. So to print spaces, we need to print those spaces before actually printing these numbers, right? So for that, what I will be doing is that as and when we enter into this outer for loop, I will mention a print statement and I will use this spaces and multiply with space and we can actually get the spaces. So for that, what I will be doing is that I am mentioning a space and I am multiplying with spaces, and in the end parameter I am not mentioning anything. So it was overriding the new line character with nothing. So we don't want anything. So now what I will be doing is that if you could carefully observe this pattern, the spaces are keep increasing, right? So for that reason, what I will be doing is that I will use these spaces with plus equal to 1 so that the spaces will be increased on each iteration. So now if I execute this, so we can able to get this particular above pattern which is here. So I hope you can able to understand this logic to generate this above pattern. If not, I will sincerely suggest you to go through this video once again carefully so that you can able to understand it. So now what we will be doing is that we will do something to generate this particular below pattern. So as like above pattern, we will modify something and we will get the below pattern. So if you carefully see here, we are having 4 rows here, which are starting with, in this first row, we are having 2 values. Second row, we are having 3, third row 4, and fourth row, which is 5. So for that, I will use a for loop to generate the rows here. So for that, for I in range, so we need to generate a range of values. So the question is, what are the range of values we need to generate? So we need to start from this and go till the value of 5 here, which is nothing but rows here. In rows we are having 5, right? So we need to start with 2 and go till the value of rows. So that is what I will mention here, 2 and rows plus 1. So in this for loop, what I will be doing is that instead of using I, we will use k here. So in this for loop, I will just print the value of k to know what values we are having in k. So we are having 2, 3, 4, 5, and if you carefully see this, in the end we are having 2, 3, 4, 5. So the only thing we need to do is that we need to generate the values which are starting with 1 and going till the value of k so that we can able to get this below pattern. So let us go ahead and do that. So I will use one more for loop, L in range. This inner for loop will generate the values on each row here. 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 5. So these are repeating, right? So for that reason I am using a for loop to generate those repeated values on each row. So now what we will be doing is that we will start with 1 and go till the value of k plus 1. That is what we have discussed. We need to start with 1, go till the value of k, which is here, right? So now what I will be doing is that inside of this inner for loop, instead of printing this value k, let us print the value of L here and see what values we are having. So if you see carefully here, we are having 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 and so on. Here also we are having 1 2 1 2 3 and 1 2 3 4. like that we are having these values, and as like previous we need to just arrange these values and we will get the pattern. So for that I am mentioning an end parameter here with single space. After that, I will mention a print statement here to generate new lines. If I execute this, we can able to get these values like this. So we need to arrange these spaces here before actually printing those numbers so that we can able to get the whole pattern. So for that, as and when I enter into this outer for loop, I will print spaces here and I will multiply these spaces with spaces variable, and in the end parameter I will mention nothing so that we can able to get those spaces. So after this inner for loop we need to decrease these spaces by 1. So if you carefully observe this pattern, the spaces are keep reducing on each iteration, right? So that is what I am trying to do in here also. If I execute this, we can able to get this pattern which is not exactly that what we have expected, but let us track why we are getting this particular thing. So the only reason we are getting is that these spaces need to be adjusted so that we can able to get this pattern. So let us see what we have in this spaces variable. So for that I am printing the spaces variable. If I execute this, I am getting the value as 5. But what spaces we want in here is at 1, 2, 3. We required only 3 spaces, but we are having 5 spaces here. For that reason, we are getting something like this. So for that, what I will be doing is that I will decrease these spaces with 2 here so that I can able to get the pattern. So I will remove this. So if I execute this, I can able to get the whole pattern. That is what we have expected. I hope you can able to understand this to generate this particular pattern. If not, I sincerely suggest you to go through this video once again carefully so that you can able to understand this logic to generate this particular pattern. So now we will take dynamically input from the user and print accordingly. So for that I am using input, I am asking enter rows here. So now if I execute this, it was asking to enter rows. I will give the rows as let's say 7, and it was starting with 1 and going till the value of 7, which is top and bottom here. So let's say if I give the value as 9 here, so it was starting with 1 and going till the value here, 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 and ended up with the value 9. So by using this logic, we can generate this kind of a pattern with any value given by the user. So I hope you have found this video interesting. So if that is true, hit the like button. In the next video, we will see how we can actually print this particular pattern which we have never seen in our previous video. So to stay updated, subscribe to this channel and turn on the notifications to all so that whenever I upload any video, you will get the notification. So thank you for watching this video. See you in the next one.